For a movie that almost didn't get made in the first place, Star Wars has done pretty well for itself. Throngs of creative types credit the franchise as having a huge influence on them, and as a result, it has impacted the world in a way that almost no other series has. But after seeing these bloopers, we know that the key to success is not taking yourself too seriously. And hey, if you like what we're about to show you, or we missed one of your favorites, let us know in the comments, would ya? Here are Screen Rant's 10 amazing Star Wars bloopers.
You got a lot of guts coming here, after what you pulled.
Freeze frame. The Star Wars franchise is full of shots that make Harrison Ford look like a badass. But if you take a look at the behind-the-scenes footage, you'll quickly realize how much help he's getting from the folks off-screen. In one scene where he and the gang bust in on Darth Vader, Han Solo pulls a gun and fires off a quick shot. Apparently, that was the cue for the entire cast to freeze, and a hand slowly reaches into the shot and replaces Solo's weapon. It's pretty ridiculous for everyone to tableau in the middle of a battle, but you gotta do what you gotta do when it comes to getting the right shot.
What was that? That's nothing.
Stormtroopers. As far as company-issued uniforms go, the Stormtroopers have it pretty good. They get to carry sweet blasters, wear a snazzy futuristic suit of armor, and a helmet so they never have to worry about their hair. But no job is risk-free, especially if you sign up to fight for the dark side. They live under the constant threat of being murdered by their leader, murdered by their enemies, or murdered by their own outfits. The gag reel footage of Stormtroopers slipping, tripping, or being trampled on is almost limitless. R2-D2. R2-D2 is not exactly nimble, and rolling over uneven terrain has proven to be a challenge for the droid. In the Phantom Menace's extras, the blooper reel shows R2 falling over in the background in multiple scenes, which obviously is hilarious. But our favorite happens when Padme and Anakin are walking along behind a masked extra, who full-on walks into the poor droid, nearly knocking him over. Jake Lloyd and Natalie Portman are able to keep their composure for about 1 nanosecond before cracking up. It's not the only thing wrong with Episode 1, and to some fans, the entire movie feels like a blooper. But it's always funny when a robot falls down.
And you'll drop your weapon?
And I'll drop my weapon.
Constructive criticism. Before 2015, almost nobody had heard the name Daisy Ridley. She turned from being a relative unknown into a Hollywood it girl overnight. Thus is the power of the Star Wars franchise. The Force Awakens was a hugely successful installment and appealed to both the franchise's old school fans and created some new ones too. But on the first day of filming, Ridley wasn't exactly sure how much longer she'd have a job. The actress was on the receiving end of some criticism from director J.J. Abrams, and she may or may not have cried immediately on set in front of everyone. But if she hadn't had this experience, the movie could have turned out a lot differently. Laughing Leia. Have you ever started laughing in the middle of an argument? If you have, then you know one of two things can happen. Either your giggling will break the tension, or it'll make everything exponentially worse. Governor Tarkin is the stone-cold killer who's really pulling the strings on the Death Star. Vader may get all the glory, but Tarkin is the real deal. Princess Leia pleads with him not to blow up her home planet of Alderaan, and like a total dick, he ignores her super reasonable request. It's a tense moment in the final cut, but the actor playing Tarkin took a few times to get his lecturing right, and a couple of times in the process, he outright laughed. Fender Bender. There are legions of fans who specialize in the minutiae of the franchise's canon, and their level of expertise is intense. But one of the most interesting sub-fandoms to emerge from the series is dedicated to transportation. Every ship is unique and seems to have its own personality, but a lot of people prefer a smaller, zippier option, like the speeder bikes. At some point or another, every diehard Star Wars enthusiast has probably imagined themselves racing through the forests of Endor on the back of one. So the people who got to ride them in real life probably had a great time, right? Wrong. Almost immediately after hopping on, one of the crew crashed into a tree. I guess those bikes aren't as nimble as they look. Tongue twister. If you want to live in space, there are a couple of things you need to know. First, you gotta make sure you look the part. Next, you have to learn the lingo. Finally, you have to say the lingo while looking the part, and make no mistake, that is not as easy as it sounds. Mark Hamill knows this firsthand. While filming the attack on the Death Star, the actor was wearing a helmet secured with a chin strap. Aside from being proper procedure, donning a helmet just seems like a responsible choice. But as a result, the actor had one hell of a time trying to verbalize the word supernova, and the blooper reel has proof.
Now let's get some distance before that thing goes... Now let's get some distance before that thing goes supernova. How do you pronounce supernova? Supernova or supernova?
Man on a wire. In any movie, the action sequence is only as good as the stunt crew who perform it. Even though there are usually a great deal of safety measures put in place, things can still go sideways. While filming the Battle of Hoth, one of the stuntmen got a colder ride than he was supposed to. The rope he was attached to didn't quite lift him fast enough, and ended up dragging him for a few feet before pulling him out of the snowy wake they'd accidentally created. But to be fair, the final product looks pretty badass, so obviously production hired the right team. Game over. It's no secret that it takes a lot of moolah to create the feeling of a galaxy far, far away. You may have heard that the Star Wars movies are kind of expensive to make, so when props or set pieces get busted up, it's safe to assume they'll take a couple of bucks to replace. Imagine the dread Hayden Christensen must have felt when one of his ship's joysticks broke off in his hand in the middle of a take. He played it off like a pro, but somewhere on set there was probably a production manager who was having a heart attack about it.
You've never heard of the Millennium Falcon?
Should I have?
It's the ship that made the Kessel run in less than 12 parsecs.
Sound check. Perhaps the best thing that could have happened to Harrison Ford was being cast in the role of reluctant good guy Han Solo, and many fans agree that every time he hopped into the Millennium Falcon, Ford brought his A-game with him. But some of Solo's lines proved to be a little trickier than others, especially if they had to be said really fast. The extras show a take where he messes up some dialogue, but instead of laughing or apologizing, he just goes ahead and pops a microphone into his mouth. Oh Han, you're so unpredictable.
Everything's under control, situation normal.
Hey there, thanks for watching. What do you think of our list? Do you have any favorite Star Wars bloopers that you would like to share? Tell us about them in the comments below, and subscribe to our YouTube channel to see more of our videos.